Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's yoga class is all about tapping into our zest, our youthful exuberance, opening up the meridians so that our prana, our energy can flow unabated. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify if you need to, rest whenever necessary. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to kick off today's class by using the B series of the Tibetan rites as a way to begin opening up those energy systems in our body and get them buzzing and humming with energy. There are 5 rites in total, and each rite is repeated 21 times. I'm going to set a moderate pace. You're more than welcome to take the pace up or down, depending on how you're feeling today. If this is the front end of your mat, you're going to turn away from it and you're going to face the back end of your mat. You're going to open up your feet into a wide Samasthiti, so feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart, and we're going to begin with an alternate shoulder tap. You're going to begin by gently bending and pivoting on the back leg as you tap the alternate shoulder. 21 repetitions in total. I'm going to call that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Last one. You're going to heel toe your feet in, coming into parallel, or you're going to heel toe all the way in. If you've got no issues, we're going to play with the dynamic chair. Begin standing up nice and tall. You're going to exhale as you sit back into an imaginary chair and then float back to your start position. Legs either flush along the midline of the body or opened up with a little bit of space between the two legs. Bump the weight back into your bum and your heels. I'm going to call that 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale as you sit, inhale as you come up. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 2 more to go. Last one, you're going to find your way from here into a seated frame on the mat. Think staff pose, and then ease your way from staff pose down onto the elbows. Chest floating up to the sky. We're going to play with some leg lifts. Either a double leg lift, or you can give me 11 singles on each side, trying to hover your feet just off the floor. 21 repetitions when you're ready. Keeping your chin line relaxed and pushing off your forearms, softly lift and lower the legs, trying to keep them hovering off the floor. I'm going to call that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Bend your knees, connect the soles of the feet, and find your way onto your back for some dynamic bridge lines, Setu Bandha. Begin with the feet and the knees hip-width distance apart. Keep them that distance apart. And make sure that your spine is in neutral with a comfortable space between your lower back and the mat. We're going to articulate up and down into some bridges. From your neutral spine position, tilt the pelvis to the 12 o'clock position. Begin imprinting your lower back into the mat. Start peeling up one vertebra at a time, pausing at the apex of your bridge, and then peeling right back down one vertebra at a time to come back to your neutral spine position. You're going to repeat that articulation up and down 21 times, making sure that you're controlling through the spine, controlling through the core. I'm going to call that 3. 4. 5. 6. Make sure you keep your feet and your knees hip-width distance apart. 7. Keep that chin relaxed towards your chest. 8. 9. 10, almost at the halfway mark. 10 more repetitions to go to take us to 21. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 3 repetitions. Once we've completed our last 2 repetitions, we're going to find our way to 4-point kneeling by flipping over. To run through the last right. As you articulate down from your last bridge and find your way back to neutral, you're going to roll over onto one side, propping yourself up in 4-point kneeling on the mat, hands stacking underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. We're going to play between a tabletop and a down dog. Tuck your toes under, knees softly connected to the mat. Exhale as you hit a down dog frame. Inhale to softly tap your knees to the mat. You're going to gently play between that tabletop position, bringing your knees down with control into the mat before hitting your down dog on the exhale. I'm going to call that 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, the last 11 to go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Last one. You're going to end for me in a 4-point kneeling frame on your mat with enough room to step back into a plank line. Find a long tabletop line, beautiful long spine, long line through your neck and your spine, belly button softly pulled into center. We're going to extend opposite arm and leg. Let's do right arm, left leg. Then peel down towards the mat and find a plank. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling. Left arm, right leg comes into extension. As you reconnect to the mat, find your way into a plank and pause. Come back to 4-point kneeling. Right arm, left leg. Reach for the wall in front and the wall behind. Find your way to plank. Pause. Find your 4-point kneel. Left arm, right leg coming into extension. Ease your way into a plank. Pause. Find 4-point kneeling. Right arm, left leg. Ease your way into a plank. Find your last 4-point kneel. Left arm, right leg comes into extension. Ease your way into a plank and pause. Body line nice and parallel to the mat. Ease your way from here into a high kneeling frame. You're going to grab the left wrist with your right hand. You're going to float your arms overhead and you're going to take a little tug or a pull of the arm to the right and back to center. You're going to do that 5 times on this side. Exhaling as you pull off center. Inhale as you come back. Once you've done 5 repetitions on the first side, you're going to change hands, grabbing the right wrist with your left hand, tugging off center to the left on the exhale, and then inhale as you come back, repeating 5 times. Once you've done 5 repetitions, you're going to ease your way back into a plank line. From your plank line, you're going to drop through, belly curving slightly as you find an up dog, and then exhale for the down dog. And try to complete at least 10 repetitions, oscillating between your controlled up dog fall through the plank and then piking your bum up towards the sky in a down dog. Use your breath. Once you've completed your last one, you're going to find your way back into your kneeling frame. Shoulders, hips, knees stacked. You're going to grab your left wrist with your right hand. And you're going to just give me a little twist to the right and back to center, tugging or pulling onto that wrist as you twist softly towards the right. 5 times you're going to play with that movement, sinking your tug to your exhalation. Keeping that nice tall stack, shoulders, hips, knees stacked. Let's change sides. Grab opposite hand to wrist, tugging on the exhale. find your way back to center, we're going to come into a low lunge on the right leg. Take a little step forward, leaning the weight forward slightly so that you feel a stretch into the back hip flexor, but make sure you've got knee over ankle on the front leg. You're going to grab the left wrist with the right hand, and you're going to give me that little overhead tug 5 times to the right, using your breath. Once you've done 5, you're going to place your hands on the mat, either spider fingertips or flat hands. You're going to tuck the back toe under, bring the knee up off the floor, and you're going to begin gently swaying the weight forwards and backwards as you start opening up into the pelvis and the hips. You're going to end for me with the weight pulled back into your back heel. You're going to peel up into a high lunge. You can brace or push off your front leg if you need to, either staying here or grabbing left wrist with your right hand and taking a little twist off center to the right 5 times. Once you've done 5 repetitions, you're going to drop your hands to the mat, flat hands or spider fingertips, and you're going to play with that rock of the weight forwards and backwards, playfully opening up the energy within the pelvis. From here, we're going to ease our way into child pose. Let's do big toes together, knees open nice and wide. You can extend the arms long and lengthened in front of you, maybe creeping or walking the fingertips away from you, almost clawing through the mat, and then getting a nice, awesome stretch into the shoulders while dropping your forehead softly towards the mat. Keep the big toes together, knees softly splayed out with your belly button gently pulled in to center. When you're ready, you're going to peel back up into a high kneeling frame. You're going to take a little lunge step forward on the left. Make sure you've got knee over ankle. You're going to lean the weight forward. And when you're comfortable in your lean, you're going to grab the right wrist with your left hand, floating your hands overhead. You're going to give me a little tug off center to the left, and then inhale to come back. 5 repetitions. Once you've done 5 little off-center tugs, you're going to drop your fingertips either side of the lead leg, tuck your back toe under, bring the knee up off the floor, and begin swaying your weight forwards and backwards. You can either use high spider fingertips or a flat hand, whichever feels the most intuitive for your body today. You're going to end for me with the weight pulled back, and you're going to peel up into a high lunge, Sirsasana. Maybe pushing off your front leg, looking for that stability. When you've found it, you're going to grab the right wrist with the left hand, and you're going to give me a little, in front of you this time. You're going to work at about shoulder height, giving me a little tug off center on the exhale, and then inhaling to come back. You could, of course, use that back foot on the floor if you need to, if the high lunge is not happening for you. Then bleed your way back down to the mat and play with that little lunge sway forwards and backwards. Just gently playing with the energy. Ease your way from here into child pose. Take a little time out in Balasana. Maybe keeping those arms nice and long and extended on the mat today. Maybe creeping them away from you and trying to get an awesome stretch into the shoulders, into the back of the rib cage, into the whole meridian of the arms so that they feel like they're tingling with excited energy. From here, we're going to play with a little caterpillar to come down onto the belly. Keeping those arms long and extended in front of you, you're going to look off the front of the mat. Begin clawing through your fingertips, floating your elbows wide. You're going to float your nose just off the front of the mat as you find your way onto the belly, and you're going to bring your way into a little Superman stretch. You're going to extend the arms and the legs on the mat so that they're in a soft parallel line, relaxing your forehead to the mat. Take a big inhale and then begin to gently float your chest and your legs and your arms to hovering just off the floor. Your bottom 4 ribs are nice and heavy into the mat, and you're floating just off the mat. Reach long and lengthened through your fingertips and your toes, and then see if you can anchor opposite arm and leg. Let's do right arm, left leg, pushing down into your palm and the top of your leg. Then give me a slow swim, taking it to the other side. Every time anchoring down to the opposite arm and leg. Keeping your nose hovering just an inch or 2 off the floor. Bear down or push opposite arm and leg, anchoring into the mat as you float the other 2 limbs in a Superman line. Use your breath. Maybe a nice exhale as you push and brace, and then perhaps a nice inhale as you transition. Find a slow, steady pace of your own. Last one. As you complete the last one, you're going to bend the elbows, bringing the palms in so that they maybe fingertips just in front of your shoulder line. Make sure that you don't chicken wing your elbows out, so keep them tucked into center. We're going to play with a little cobra series. Begin with your forehead connected to the mat and pretend you've got a little marble underneath your nose. Roll the marble away from you to the front of the mat. Start peeling up into a baby cobra, stopping just before your bottom rib disengages, and then peel back down. You're going to use that movement dynamically, peeling up and down, starting to wake up the energy in the back and the spine, giving me a few almost soft nods up and down off the mat. And then try to peel up maybe into a full cobra, extending through the arms as much as you can, but not locking them out, keeping a softness in the elbows. Remember this full cobra. We're going to use it just now, but we'll mix it up. Start bending softly through the elbows, peel back down to the mat. As you reconnect your forehead to the mat, start bending the left knee, bring it out to the side of the room and try to make a little 90-degree with that leg. Knife edging so that the arch of your foot is looking towards the mat. You're going to try to come into a full or a baby cobra from here. Find that marble underneath your nose. Start articulating up, either stopping in baby with your bottom rib connected to the mat, or peeling all the way up and coming into full extension. Awesome stretch into the whole pelvic area, into the hip flexors. Pause here, looking for length and strength through the spine. Then as you come back down out of your crocodile cobra, you're going to find your way straight into locust. Floating the arms behind you, making a bow frame through your back as you lift your chest and your legs off the mat. Reaching long through your fingertips, through your crown, and through the tips of your toes. If this bow frame is too much for you, drop your whole body line closer to the mat and try to replicate that Superman line we played with early on. Giving yourself a couple of moments here, then bleed softly back down to the mat. Give yourself a recovery breath or 2. And when you're ready, find your cobra setup once more. Fingertips maybe just in front of your shoulder line. Drop your forehead to the mat and begin to play with that dynamic peel up into the cobra and the peel down. Just preparing it. You can use a little soft nod into the head if you like. as you start warming up through the spine and the back muscles. Giving yourself a few oscillations up and down. And then when it feels like the back is sufficiently warmed up, you're going to try to hold your cobra line, either in baby or peeling all the way up into full extension, and just pausing here for a few soft breaths. Try to extend those back muscles and use them. Then peel all the way down, and as your forehead reconnects to the mat, bend your right knee, take the leg out to the side of the room, find your crocodile line on the right, and then begin peeling back up into your cobra. Stopping in baby, or maybe you'd like to come into full extension, pause there, enjoy that delicious stretch into the groin and the pelvis. When you articulate back down, you're going to find your way straight into a full locust. So as you peel down and your belly starts reconnecting to the mat, give me a mini chest and leg lift, floating the arms behind you, palms looking up to the ceiling, and trying to forge a soft bow-like frame through the back. Reconnect your body to the mat, and as you do so, bend the elbows, stack the hands in front of you, one on top of the other, and rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Take a moment or two to just give yourself a soft recovery. Try to lengthen through the toes. Give me a long, relaxed spine. And then we'll play with a few dynamic chest and arm lifts. Moving your arms and your head in unison, you're going to peel your chest off the mat, coming into a baby cobra, bottom ribs still connected, and then float softly back down to the mat. You're going to lift and lower a few times dynamically. Let's shoot for maybe 5 gentle repetitions. And then on your last round, maybe holding the chest lift for a few soft counts. Use your back extenders to hold that frame. Peel softly back down to the mat. Keep your arms and your head and your chest on the mat and focus on your legs. Give me a double leg lift and softly tap back down to the mat. Whisper softly, there's no sound as the legs lift and lower. Don't drive from the feet. Draw the energy up from the kneecaps along the tops of your thighs. So think quads, lower belly, hamstrings, glutes engaged to draw the legs up and down. On your last repetition, try to hold the leg lift, reaching long through your toes. The legs are extended, but there's no tension in your feet. You're just reaching long, almost trying to grow through all 10 toes. Then whisper softly, come back down to the mat. We're going to bring it into a few locust pulses from here, executing the leg and the chest lift simultaneously, and then peeling back down to the mat. A few soft pulses, either shooting for a bow frame or more of a Superman line if you find that the bow is too much. Then peeling back down to the mat. Bend the left leg. Reach left hand to left foot. Maybe making an L shape between your index finger and the thumb and trying to hook that brace around the top of your foot. You're pushing off your stabilizing arm and you're going to relax that back leg. So think soft quad, glute, hamstring, and you're going to try to tap your heel to your bum. Pushing down softly on the top of your foot. So you're getting a nice, awesome stretch into the toes and the top of your foot, the bridge of your foot. Relax back down. Let's try that on the other side. Anchoring down to your left hand. So nice little brace on the floor. You're going to bend the right leg. You're going to find your L shape between your index finger and your thumb. You're going to hook that brace around the top of your foot, and you're going to push down on the top of your foot, trying to get your heel to relax down and tap your bum. Then gently release. You're going to come back into locust, or you're going to find your way into a full bow by bending the legs one at a time, reaching for the tops of your feet, kicking the feet into your hands, making as much of a bow frame as you can. So you're giving me a simultaneous chest and leg lift. You're trying to peel those knees up high to the sky as you find bow, Dhanurasana. Then relax back down to the mat. Think Sphinx-like frame. Start bending the legs out to the side of the room, this time on both sides, so that you look almost like a frog connected to a dissection board. Make sure you're making a nice little 90-degree between your knee and your ankle. You're going to find your way onto the forearms, and you're going to rock the weight forward and as far back as you can. Work slowly and mindfully, because this is quite an aggressive opening into the pelvic area. You want to release all that delicious energy that's locked in. Try to keep a long line through the neck and the spine, and keep your belly button gently pulled into center as you sway the weight back and forth. And see if you can push back, think bum to heel, and try to hold here for maybe a slow count of 10. If the stretch becomes too intense, rock gently back and forth, and then push back and see if you can hold again. Make sure you're not collapsing through your shoulders, so you're softly pushing off the forearms. You're thinking of growing the back of your rib cage towards the ceiling while pushing your bum bones back towards the back edge of your mat as you find a modified frog Bekasana. From here, when you're ready, you're going to find your way back onto the belly. If you need to, drag the weight forward, slide the legs in one at a time, stack your hands one on top of the other, and just give me a knee flop, soft, lazy knee flop, side to side, leg and knee flop, just to relax through the knees and the hips. All right, we're going to find our way into an up and a down dog flow from here, but we're going to mix it up. We're going to play with the weight on the top of our toes. Find your way into a long extended line. And bring the hands alongside your chest. Make sure that elbows are tucked in. Let's find our way into an up dog, pushing off the mat so that you're pushing on the tops of your toes and your hands. Pike up and come back down. See what it feels like when you play with the weight on the tops of your feet. If that feels good, tuck your toes under, but try to balance right on the tips of your big toes. Pike up into a down dog, almost just pushing off the big toe and maybe the second toe if you can, and try a few from this very tiptoe position and see what that feels like. The energy feels totally different. You're going to end for me in the down dog frame, maybe stepping and anchoring into the whole foot on both sides, taking a little stretch here. Maybe you want to push off spider fingertips and anchor down to your heels and see what that feels like. Taking an opportunity to make your sacrum nice and heavy to the floor, heels nice and heavy to the floor, bum piked up nice and high. Then take a little lunge step forward with the right leg, forging as narrow or as wide a pyramid between the two legs as you can. All 10 toes looking to the front of the mat. Fingertips preferably connected to the floor as you rock the weight forwards and backwards. So planting the whole front foot into the mat, back heel comes off, and then rocking the weight into the back heel, bringing the front toes off. You could keep the hands on the mat, or you could use a block, or you could bring your hands to your hips as you play with that movement. Wide pyramid Parsvottanasana. Then change your orientation on the mat and open up into a wide standing straddle. Feet are in parallel. You're going to play with that heel toe action, rocking the weight back into your heels. Bring the toes off the mat. Then reground your toes and bring the heels off the mat. Just using little spider fingertips on the mat as you play with that energy into the toes and into the heels, mixing up your Prasarita Padottanasana. Then ground through the feet. Try to open up the legs maybe a little bit wider. Then you're going to find that pyramid line facing the back of your mat. So this time the opposite leg is going to be in front as you rock the weight back and forth, opening up the legs as wide or as narrow as you're comfortable with. Just playing with that energy in the feet and the legs, keeping your belly button gently pulled into center as you play. Then find your way back into Prasarita, opening up the legs as wide as you can and begin to rock the weight into the toes, heels come off, then ground through your heels, toes come off, just keeping soft spider fingertips on the mat as you play with that gentle shift of the energy. Then gently find your way to stillness. We're going to ease our way into a deep squat, Malasana from here. You're going to heel toe the feet in as wide or as narrow as you need to drop down into a deep squat. Shift the energy side to side, opening up gently through the groin. And then come to stillness somewhere between the two. And give me a gentle rotation towards your right knee. You're going to tap the left knee to the floor and back. You can bring your left hand to the floor and back, or you can keep it grounded into the mat, whichever you feel comfortable with. Bracing softly off your right hand to hold your frame. And then try that to the other side. Come back to center. Pivot to face your left knee. You're going to ground your right knee to the floor and fly back up. Maybe bringing your right hand off the mat as you do so. Or maybe you prefer to keep both hands connected to the mat as you play with that opening through the pelvis. Then ease your way back into Malasana. You can wiggle your weight side to side, almost using a modified side lunge. Give it as a squat lunge. Ease your way back into your squat line. Maybe bringing your hands to prayer in front of your heart. And then maybe see if you can drop your right palm and place it on the inseam of the leg, using the whole arm to brace against your leg, and take a soft opening twist to the left. Either staying here or using this as an opportunity to come into a bind. Maybe you can wrap your whole right arm around the outside of your right leg and bring both hands behind your back, giving me a little bear grip. So trying to tug down with one hand and up with the other. Keep looking up towards the sky. Lead your way softly back to center, maybe finding a prayer position, wiggling around until you can find stillness, using your elbows and your triceps to open up those thighs. And then let's try that little stretch to the left. Placing your left palm on the inside of the left foot, using the whole arm to brace against the leg. Take a soft sweeping opening twist to the right. And then maybe using this opportunity to bind around your left leg if you can, bringing both hands behind your back, finding a little push-pull action there as you tug Up with one hand, down with the other. Ease your way gently back to Malasana, wiggling around through the hips if you need to until you can come to stillness, making your bum bones nice and heavy to the mat, pulling your belly button into center and lengthening your whole spine up towards the ceiling. You're going to drop down from here into a wide seated straddle, Upavista Konasana. When you're ready, maybe drop the hands to the mat behind you and open up your legs into a wide V. That V can be as wide or as narrow as you're comfortable with. But make sure you're tilting the pelvis slightly forward towards the 6 o'clock position. Keep your feet active. You could use a block in front of you if you need to. You're going to see if you can walk your hands into a sphinx-like drop. So you're dropping down onto the forearms, keeping those feet active. You're pushing off your forearms and you're giving yourself a couple of breaths here, breathing as deeply as you can into the back and the sides of your ribs. Keep bracing into your feet. Keep those inner thighs working. Keep your belly button gently pulled into center. Then staying on the forearms, see if you can creep your way towards the inside of the right leg. Using your right elbow to push against the inseam of that leg, and then maybe giving me a soft bowling-like action. Maybe reaching for the sky, maybe framing your head, or maybe reaching with your fingers for your toes. The whole time you're using that right arm on the inside of the right leg to push and resist. So you're squeezing in with the leg and you're pushing out with the arm. Lead your way softly back and creep your way back to the center. Let's take that to the other side. Walking to the inseam of the leg. Pausing here for a few beats. Making sure you found that push and that pull action on the inseam of your leg and the hand that's pushing it, or rather the arm that's pushing against it. And then opening up into a soft twist, maybe top hand to the sky, maybe bringing that arm closer to your ear. Maybe you'd like to bind to the toes, maybe reaching for the outside of your pinky toe, peeking around that armpit, looking up towards the sky. Giving yourself a few soft breath cycles here. Then gently find your way back onto the forearms. Walk your way back to center and give yourself a few breaths here. Pushing off your forearms, bracing into your feet. Breathe as deeply as you can without collapsing your chest to the floor. So you're pushing off your forearms, you're growing the back of your rib cage towards the ceiling. And you're trying to forge a long line through the spine from your tailbone towards the nape of your neck. From here, you're going to find your way into a seated frame of your choice to end off your class. So maybe peeling up and just tucking into easy sit, Sukhasana, tucking one leg in front of the other, or maybe you'd like to come into a half or a full lotus line, whichever feels good for you today. You're just going to find a line that works for you. And we're going to bring our hands to Ravi Mudra by connecting our ring finger and our thumb. This mudra symbolizes energy, health, vitality, finding that zest. We'll end with a little cooling breath. So for today's breath, we're going to inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. When we're inhaling through the mouth, I'd like you to push out your tongue, curl the edges of the tongue, making a little straw that looks something like this. You're going to suck up the air through that straw and then close your mouth and exhale through the nose. So it's going to look and sound like this. Close your eyes, take your focus in and give yourself at least 6 to 10 rounds of this beautiful cooling breath, making a soft, maybe slurping sound As you suck the air through the straw, feel that cool air rushing down your throat, bleeding into your lungs. And then as you close the mouth and exhale through the nose, feel the old, stale, toxin-laden air leaving your body before you take in a beautiful, fresh breath, bringing in new life, new vitality into your body. As you finish your last round of Sitali breath, just give yourself a couple of recovery breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils, keeping your spine nice and long, keeping your bum bones equally weighted into the mat, and then close off your practice for today by bringing your hands together in prayer mudra. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I do hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Share your comments. Make sure your notifications are on. Be ready to play and work tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.